Right, guys, I want to do another video going into Spider-Man Brand New Day. I just saw it over this past week. I actually saw it yesterday. This video should be coming out on Friday. I saw it Thursday, a day early, with my family. I saw it with my wife, my son, and my brother-in-law, and I gotta say I really like the movie. I want to talk a little bit about it, but before I do, I want to give a spoiler warning, because that's what this video is going to be about: Spider-Man Brand New Day, and where I think the MCU is going, and some of the hints that they dropped. So if you do not want any spoilers, click out the video right now, wait till after you see the movie, and then come back to this, because this is going to have spoilers. So I initially thought the movie was gonna deal a lot with Mr. Negative, right? Because they showed a lot of body swapping. They showed people basically their whole personality changing. Them, you got your average everyday person going evil, but you know, I kind of should have saw that, because they weren't becoming that, I don't know what you call it, with they weren't becoming that black and white highlighted texture, because that's usually what they look like when they're taking over a lot of the times, like Mr. Negative. That we weren't really going to get them, and instead the movie dealt a lot around what people would suspect is Sadie Sink's role is. Sadie Sink from Stranger Things, she was Jean Grey. It dealt with her a lot, with her being the antagonist of like the first half of the movie, until you find out the truth later on, where Damage Control was actually conducting experiments on. It looks like they're getting into the idea of mutants being captured and experimented on, and Jean Grey, it had a lot to do with Jean Grey's sister, and I thought it was a really cool concept. And it kind of like not only introduced more of the mutant population, because technically mutants were first introduced in well, if you want to talk about Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in Avengers, but they couldn't use the term because of the Fox having the movie rights. Now that it's all under Disney, when Disney had the rights to the mutant name, got the rights back for Marvel for the mutant name in the X-Men, it was technically Black Panther 2, right, with Namor, because Namor is a mutant. But all that being said, is the movie dealt a lot around Spider-Man coming to terms with the fact of how does he balance the idea of being Peter and being Spider-Man, right? And I love that they were tackling that that duality of Spider-Man, right, Peter Parker, because that's, though, for the old school comic fan, you know, that was primarily the struggle that you see a lot with comic book characters trying to maintain their secret identity. And like for Peter, he's trying so hard to keep the mask on that it's almost like he's losing who he is as a person, right? Because he's just being Spider-Man, and then he's also feeling isolated, alone. And you kind of see him begin to understand that being a hero doesn't mean that you have to be alone. Like, everybody needs somebody, right? Socialization is so important, right, for human beings in general. And he's not just the Spider, right? It's one of the reasons why Peter Parker is my favorite Spider-Man. To me, one of the only Spider-Mans I recognize, if not the only, because, you know, in him trying to maintain the identity of Spider-Man and almost forget about Peter, you see this internal struggle with the character, right? You see this battle that he's having with the idea of, if any time I let somebody in, they wind up getting hurt, right? So I guess as a hero, I can't let nobody in, because other people are just gonna get hurt, right? And he attacks almost this idea of, I'm not allowed to be a human. I'm not allowed to be a person because of this burden, this responsibility. And, you know, Uncle Ben, well, in the MCU, Aunt May, never really wanted that for the character, right? She just wanted him to understand that if you can do something to help somebody, you should do something, right? That's what that great power, great responsibility, right? It's one of the quotes, I forget who said it, where he says that the greatest evil in the world is for good men to stand by and see evil and do nothing, right? That's what the idea of a great power comes great responsibility comes from, right? And he really begins to truly understand what it means to be a hero, to have not that he didn't have the weight on the world on his shoulders before, but that no one person is an island on their own, right? Everybody's going through their own individual struggles, and it's important that he lean on and he give people the chance to help him, right? I thought that was a beautiful thing. I'm sorry if I was kind of like talking in circles, but like I said, I thought it was a beautiful thing. There was a lot of like callbacks to the comics. You got to see a lot of like panels from old comics. Like you saw Amazing Fantasy 15, which was Spider-Man's first appearance. You saw Tombstone. You saw Scorpion. You saw Boomerang. You saw all these cool characters that you kind of probably wouldn't see, that they kind of give him like little shots to I guess for the movie, it was showing that Spider-Man has been fighting crime for a little while since the events from No Way Home, and until he got to the events now from A Brand New Day. And one of the things that I loved about the movie is the relationship that you see he begins to build and feel for a character like Jean Grey, right? Because in the comics, Spider-Man as a character has a close relationship with almost all the Marvel teams, right? Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and especially the X-Men. Peter Parker actually served as a professor in the Mutant Academy, Professor X's Xavier Institute, for a long time. He's after the events that split up the X-Men for a little while, where Cyclops was going on his evil binge and stuff, and then Storm took over the Xavier Institute. Peter took over as a professor for a little while, and he's always had a close relationship for the X-Men. If anybody's watched the animated series, you kind of saw that during the Neogenic Nightmare sequence when he was trying to figure out why he was becoming Man-Spider, and they kind of alluded to that in the movie. He doesn't really become Man-Spider, and I agree. If you want kids to see this movie, Man-Spider is really like a grotesque version of what's inside of Peter, what makes him the Spider, and you don't really want to show that, right? You don't want to scare kids. I'm sure like fans would have loved to see it, but that's what we have the comic books for, right? And these movies, they got to make money, so they're trying to attract everyone to come see it. So I thought the movie was really cool. I love that you got to see the Hulk come back, like the Hulk. Like he got out of that small Hulk and he got big, and you got to see the Hulk, which was cool. It showed exactly how powerful Jean Grey is right now and can become when pushed. And I love the fact that at the end of the movie there's a beautiful sequence, right, that kind of reminded me of Brand New Day, right? Well, prior to Brand New Day, where Spider-Man met the One Above All and he asked him to take away his powers to save Aunt May, and the One Above All brought him to this beach with a bunch of people there, and he told him to look. And when he's looking out there, he doesn't understand, like why are you showing me this? These are all the people Spider-Man saved, and if you're asking me to get rid of Spider-Man, and he saved all these people, all these lives wouldn't even have had a chance to continue living without you, that is extremely selfish, and he couldn't do it. Of course, we wind up finding out later on that Mary Jane makes a deal with Mephisto that gets rid of their daughter, their potential daughter, because Mephisto was scared of that. That's a whole nother story. That's in the comics. But I love that they kind of showed that. They showed the people that love Spider-Man for who he is, right? The New Yorkers, that this is a character that is there and that saves them on a daily basis. And for Peter, through the movie, he felt so isolated and alone, but to see all the love there, right, to see the people that loved him as a character, it was so awesome. It was so awesome for him to feel that love, right? Because it reminded him of why Spider-Man is so important, and the purpose that he serves, right, that Peter Parker serves. The other thing with him becoming more of in tune with his powers, and his powers growing stronger, I love that so much. So if you guys don't know, in the original Spider-Man trilogy, when Tobey Maguire had the organic webbing, right, when Sam Raimi made that decision, they actually translated that to the comics, and this was during the Spider Island event where Spider-Man was put in a cocoon. He came out and he had the organic webbing. People rioted. There was a huge backlash to it. People hated it, and they gave him back the web shooters, right? As a kid, right, reading comics, I didn't really like care so much. I mean, when I was watching the movie, I was just loving to see it. But now, having read Spider-Man, I always thought that Spider-Man should have organic webbing. Like Peter Parker should have organic webbing. I feel like there's all these other spiders that are coming out, and I know Peter Parker is physically the strongest out of the spider people, right? And then, but you have all these spiders that have these all other cool attributes to them, right? Like I know Peter has radioactive blood, but then you have Silk, right, who's like really fast, right? You have Ghost Spider, who could kind of like go invisible. You have Miles, who has the electric webbing and can go invisible, right? Or the bio venom, whatever you want to call it, webbing. You have Miguel, who has the poison, but he doesn't have the spider sense. I always thought that Peter should have the organic webbing, and I really wish they would bring that back in the comics. Like right now, the last that I read of Amazing Spider-Man, they were kind of exploring him becoming more in tune with his spider sense and his spider sense becoming even stronger. But I wish they would give Peter back the organic webbing. It just makes so much sense for him to have that, in my opinion, right? And I've been reading comics for a long time, right? Even when fans were rioting during the Tobey Maguire days, where they gave him the organic webbing and the Marvel editorial took it away, during when the Sam Raimi movies were coming out, I always thought now that Peter should have that. That should be his thing, right? And then his tracers, or the he can have like the web tracers shoot out different types of webbing, kind of like if you read all different Amazing Spider-Man during the 2015 run, where he had the cement webbing and he had like the oil webbing, and he had like these different kind of webbings that had different properties or effects. I always thought that that's how it should be for him. That should be the evolution of his character. So I really hope that Marvel permanently gives Spider-Man the organic webbing and doesn't take it away, because for me, I think that's the natural evolution for him, right? If you don't want to give him some other crazy thing, like, it's cool that he's physically the strongest, right, out of them, but I like the organic webbing aspect. I think it makes so much sense, and I really hope that Marvel editorial sees Brand New Day, saw it, and permanently gives this to him. I hate when they give characters certain new abilities or aspects of them and they just take it away. Like, I give you an example. Superman got this cool new ability that is kind of like a catch-22, where he could protect himself from kryptonite by turning himself all golden, but it wastes all of his solar energy. So he's kind of depowered for a little while until his cells absorb more solar energy. But I think that the organic webbing should be permanent, same way Superman just got that new ability that's permanent. I think it's super cool. I really hope that they go that way, but all that to say is I love the movie, and I love what they did with Brand New Day, and I'm so excited for the next Spider-Man movie. Now, in terms of the post-credit scene, throughout the movie, Ned had created an app that was tracking where Spider-Man was, right? Now, in that app, at the end of the movie, it showed Spider-Man off-world, right? Tom Holland Spider-Man. I think that that's talking about Spider-Man in Secret Wars, not Doomsday. Because my theory is that Doomsday is going to get rid of a lot of those old characters. So I think that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is going to be in Doomsday, but Tom Holland is going to be in Secret Wars. And if anybody knows anything about Secret Wars, canonically, that's where he got the Venom symbiote suit. So I think, Tom Holland is going to be in Secret Wars, and that's where he's going to get the Venom suit, which is going to be another upgrade to him. But that was my theory. My review on the movie is I don't really have a scaling of 1 through whatever, but I love the movie. I would go watch it again. I'm going to purchase it myself because I do that, just like I'm going to purchase Supergirl when I get paid. And I can't wait for everybody to see it, to talk about it. But when you guys do see the movie, please leave a comment. If you got any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. If I'm able, about my theories, about what I think about how, like, what was different between the movie and the comic book. Just let the comic book of Brand New Day, which a lot of people actually didn't like the comic book, but the movie was awesome. But please let me know. Love, peace, chicken grease. Bye, everybody.
Like and subscribe!